Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Tim, what's going on, brother?
What are you laughing for?
I'm always laughing. I'm always in a good mood. You know that.
Do I?
So, Tim, we've been talking. We've been in meetings with the staff for the last hour and a half, the coaches. It's been a lot of fun. But you have a particular topic that you wanted to bring to the table today for the guys.
Yeah, and it comes off the back of we've got the Brotherhood Event coming up here shortly, don't we, in Tulum on the 26th of March. So I am super excited about that. And as you know, Doug, we were talking about what we're leading the men through there. And we like to, for the listeners, each event has a theme. And the themes are usually around the territories where we take a deeper dive and introduce the men to techniques and tools that they cannot access anywhere else, like in the trainings that we lead them through usually. So, they get access to a ton of insightful, inspirational things that really move the needle for these guys. And the one that's coming up in Tulum.
Well, Tim, hold on. Before you go there, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because some people are going to be newer to the Powerful Man movement. So tell them what the territories are. They might not know what you're talking about.
Okay. So the territories are the 5 areas, if you will, of your life that we have really noticed a pattern in the guys, right? When they have these 5 territories managed in the right way, living from the inside out, then it has a very predictable result in their marriage, in their business, in their health, in their own personal happiness and fulfillment. We see it time and time again, right? We also see it the other way where when they don't have the territories managed effectively and the territories essentially are running them, and again, there's a predictable result in that position as well when they're living from the outside in. And the territories in order are self, health, relationships, wealth, and business. But when most guys come to us, that's flipped on its head, living from the outside in, and it's business, wealth, relationships, if there's anything left, which there usually isn't, and then health, and then self. So, yeah, Tulum coming up in a few weeks for the guys in the Brotherhood. That was who we work with for 12 months. So anyway, the theme there is all around how to be a powerful man. So we're going to be covering different things on different days. One of the days is going to be around depth, the other one around commitment, and the final one around capacity. And I can see my video slowing down and speeding up. So it's is that what you're nodding your head at? So it really got me thinking from our conversation today, Doug, about the importance of being a man of your word, because it's so easy in today's world to overlook the power of this. Right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes men that come to us wonder, why doesn't she trust me? Why doesn't my wife trust me? Or why don't my staff do what I ask them to do? And often it's not so much in the big things that you achieve as a man, it's in the small things that you say you're going to do and you don't actually do. Like, simple one, I'm going to take the rubbish out, but then in the morning it's still there, or the trash for you guys I can see it. I'm going to take the trash out for you guys in the US. Whatever it is, it's so easy as a busy entrepreneur, a guy, to disregard the menial tasks as though they don't matter. And I get it. I've been there. It's something I jostle with, and I'm fortunate that I have this knowledge and I remember certain things and have great guys around me who set great examples. But yeah, I get it. It's so easy to just disregard the little tiny things that we think don't matter. But in actual fact, to the people in our lives, especially our wife, our partner, in order for her to fully trust you, and as a result, trust that you have got her, because women are always asking the question, Doug, as you know, will he catch me if I fall? Right? And as guys, we say, yeah, I've got you, I'm here. But the women are like, hang on a minute, you're not even looking at me. You're looking over there telling me you're here, but you're looking elsewhere. And as guys, we often think that it's enough to say that, yes, I'm going to catch you if you fall. But there's a big difference in saying that and just standing your ground with that depth of character, breathing and just being present and giving a quick smile when she turns around and asks if you're going to catch me. Two very different places to come from. And it's in the latter where she actually will let herself then fall and surrender. And just like a flower, that's where the flower blossoms and opens up, and all the sweet nectar is in the inside. And yeah. So the tiniest thing of doing what you say you're going to do as a man of the house has a huge impact on whether or not your woman is going to flower and open up. Because if she can't rely on you to do what you say you were going to do, then guess what? You're putting her in a position of masculinity, of being the man and taking the lead in situations and coming up with those solutions herself when she wants to relax and surrender into you doing certain things. And that's where intimacy can start to go away as well, because she starts to become more masculine. You're masculine. There's no polarity there. So I really want to share. I'd love to get your perspective on this, by the way, because I think as business owners, it's super easy to fall into this trap, especially when we're busy, especially when we might come home and the wife may not be working and you feel like you've been making all these big decisions all day, which, I'm sure you have. And that sense of entitlement can sometimes very easily wash over us as men of the household, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever, but it can very easily come in. And I think just this simple shift in awareness for men and actually committing to it is something that could produce profound changes in their marriage and even their business, because it shifts how they act in all areas and all of the territories.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. And I can hear some guys saying right now, and they're in their cars or at the gym, going, "Well, I'm a man of my word. I when I tell somebody I promise to do something, I follow through." And I think there's a good distinction here, Tim, for a lot of the guys listening to this, is you may be a man of your word outside of yourself, right? But are you a man of your word to yourself? Like, are you getting up? If you say you're getting up at 5 a.m., just as an example, because you're going to start your workouts, are you actually getting up at 5, or are you hitting the snooze button? If you say you're going to, change your diet up, are you actually doing it? Or are you going for the pizza and beer because it's just easier because it's guys' night, and there's an excuse to go through there. And there's certainly seasons, right? There's certainly seasons in everybody's life. People ebb and flow out of it. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. There's a lot of things that we intend to do that just don't happen for us. But at the same time, to your point, as this relates to your partner, your spouse, chances are you've told her, you've made some declarations, whether it be your New Year's resolutions that, is a month and a half now. And what have you dropped at this point? Or what are you telling them, each night or each morning? Like, today's going to be the day I stop drinking, or, I'm going to actually bring in, $10,000 extra a month, or whatever that story is that you've been saying over and over again, or at least telling yourself. We often, Tim, lie to ourselves far more than we lie to other people. And your spouse is watching that. And it's kind of that idea that you said, if she falls, are you going to pick her up? But also, can she go into her wild femininity around you? Can she trust you are going to be there and you can handle her and all of her craziness? We always joke in our society that women are crazy, but nobody knows this more than your woman, right? And she fears that you can't handle her craziness. Now, this also goes outside, but as well as inside the bedroom. And we've seen lots of men that have come through the program who have gained back the trust of their spouse and their wife. And as a byproduct of that, they figured out, wow, my dull, boring wife is actually a complete freak in the bedroom, and she's just been waiting for an outlet. And luckily for them, she's waited for that outlet to unleash on them. Unfortunately, we've seen guys also that, they've lost their relationships, and that's why they've come to us. And their wife has fallen into the arms of another man that she could be freaky with. So that all coincides, Tim, with that trust factor. And as you said, it starts with commitment. And what are you committing to? right? What are you committing to yourself? And are you following through on those commitments? And if not, forgive yourself, right? Go through a practice of forgiveness. I do practice of forgiveness in my morning routine, and you forgive yourself for your shortcomings. We all have shortcomings. No one's perfect. But by forgiving yourself, you're giving yourself some grace, and you're allowing yourself that space to step into even more greatness rather than just beating yourself up for things you haven't achieved.
There's a quote by Vince Lombardi, obviously one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, right? And he said, when asked about the team's performance, the team are flying, beating all the teams. When asked about the performance, what's the secret to winning? Game day, you seem to have it all together. He said, well, games are never won on game day. And it's just so true. They're won in the preparation leading up to the game day.
100%.
And it's the same for life, any area of life, right? I know I used to have a tendency where I would take on a lot of commitments. I'd say take on more than I could really handle, quite honestly. I'd also make big announcements about it because I felt like that was a good thing, because when I announced it, it then held me accountable. But what that also did that I didn't realize back then was then if certain things happened that were out of my control, and it just made it very, very difficult to bring certain things to completion, I then looked like I wasn't a man of my word, which I didn't realize it at the time, because obviously I understand what's going on. But also it can have a negative effect on your self-image, how you see yourself, because regardless of how you want to dress up, you're still taking these things on as a man, as an achiever. And then when you don't bring certain things to completion, or you do at the sacrifice of other areas just because you're going to complete no matter what, it doesn't mean it's a good thing. It doesn't mean it's healthy. And in that place, it can be very difficult to build confidence. If you're constantly taking on too much, let's say maybe you're people pleasing, or maybe you don't really know what you want. So as a result, you say yes to the things that are really a no, and no to things that are really a yes. Because maybe you're living in no man's land with the 5 agonies, like some of the guys are that when they come to us. The agony of greed, anger, shame, loneliness, uncertainty. And it's common in that place for men to take on too much. And as a result, you sometimes find that they have an argument with the spouse. Let's say it's over something they perceive to be menial. Let's say, can you take out the trash? Yeah, I'll do it after I've watched the show. No, I want you to do it now. No, I'll do it after I've watched the show. And then argument ensues. She says, I just can't deal with this. And it's got nothing to do with the trash. It's the fact that you're becoming a man, or you're being a man that she cannot trust in that moment. And the likelihood is it's been bubbling up for quite some time, because there's been other broken promises that have happened over the years along the way. And as men, especially the men I speak with, there's a real tendency to ignore the warning signs, because when something doesn't tend to be obvious, like, it's like driving your car, right? Sometimes a light on the dashboard can come on and you'll, I'll take it to the garage later. I don't need to do it just yet. Then it maybe goes off, and then maybe it comes back on, and eventually your car breaks down. You're like, oh shit, I really need to go to the garage. It's kind of the same in the marriage, right? They'll ignore the warning signs a little bit with the wife. The wife will say certain things, but because she's not kicking and screaming and shouting, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And the patterns and cycles will continue. And over time, it erodes the trust in the relationship. And that's when the guys come to us saying, it just come out of the blue. It's out of the blue that she wants to separate. I thought everything was good. Well, it's because you've not, one of the reasons is because you've not been aware of your role in eroding the trust between you guys, because I get it, you've been a busy guy, but at the same time, you've then agreed to doing certain things that you've not followed through on, and she's had to learn to fend for herself. She's had to learn to trust herself because she can't trust you.
Well, and that's so true. And it comes to, again, you talked about the 5 territories at the beginning of this show, and when we flip it over in the way that we teach it for the men, is the bottom of the pyramid, or the foundation, is self. And that self starts with, the alpha rise and shine. how are you starting your day and your morning? And are you committing to you and taking care of you? We talk a lot about the show of you got to fill your cup up first before you can fill up anybody else's. And you certainly, a lot of people, when it comes to marriage, they may marry somebody with the idea that that person will make me happy. That person will fulfill me. That person will, fill the gaps in my shortcomings. And that's the exact opposite, right? That's a very one-dimensional relationship, and it's also one that's destined to end in ruin unless it changes course. And that all starts with the concept of self, right? How are you treating yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? And are you committed to being that man that you know you are, the man that you've always known yourself to be? And what are those steps that you're taking? So, Tim, I'm going to ask you this question for the guys that are listening to this. What are those first steps they can take to get back that commitment in their lives?
I think you've got to get optics. I think having a conversation with somebody that you respect, ideally somebody who has the life that you would like to live, because otherwise if you start asking questions from people who don't have that life, quite frankly, you'll get the result. But I think you've got to get optics, because I know I can't see my own blind spots. And whenever I'm curious about something that's going on in my life, or curious about how it can be better or how I can change something, I'll reach out to you and Arthur. They're my first go-to, because I respect you guys and I know that you understand. So I'm going to ask you your opinion. So the first thing, you've got to get optics. The second thing, in my opinion, is you've got to have the right tools as well, because once you know how you are actually being received, for example, on New Year's Eve, I sent some messages out to some close friends of mine, because I was doing my yearly review and I was writing down all the ways in which I thought I had shown up in 2019. I thought, hang on a minute, it's all right me writing these things down, but how have I actually been received by people, right? Hence reaching out to you and Arthur and a few other people, and got some great optics. And at that point, I could see where I had the opportunity to change. So then it goes to the tools part of it, right? Okay, how am I going to do this? So at that point, you've got to have access to the right tools, depending on what you want to achieve, of course. And then finally, I know for me, I've got to have accountability, because I'm not perfect. Human nature by default means that I'm going to want to stay comfortable. I'm going to need a kick and a nudge at times from people around me to remind me of why I'm doing certain things and where I'm going, regardless of how much I know my vision and how much I journal and meditate and do my own routines. It can be very easy to get boxed in, even within a new routine. So having accountability from somebody outside that's invested in your result, quite frankly, is key. And I think that's one of the reasons why the guys love what it is that they get in the activation method, for those three reasons, to be honest. I mean, that's what they always tell me they need. And I think it's the same for most men. They want to create change. I mean, if you look at any top performer in the world, an actor, athlete, top business leader, they've all got support around them so they can have optics. They all have accountability around them as well. They all have access to great tools, so they don't have to do it alone. So success leaves clues at the end of the day. So I would say those three things.
And it's absolutely awesome. And when you think about it, guys that are listening to this, and again, I want to reiterate the point, this is not to beat yourself up about, right? There's, seasons in your life and changes. And it's when you make that commitment to be committed, I guess, that you can actually come back and with love for yourself and for those around you, make some big changes, right? And they don't have to be gigantic changes, but just changes in your ways of being, and do it with grace. Give yourself some forgiveness and some leeway. This life is a game. It's a journey, so to speak, or depending on how you philosophize it. But at the same time, I think it's incredibly important to forgive yourself if you haven't been following the right path, right? Not the right path, but if you've made some commitments, you've set New Year's resolutions and you haven't hit those goals, that's okay. Now's a great time to try something new, try something different, and keep trying until you find something that lands for you, right? And sometimes that is just digging it out. We have that idea. We've talked about this before, Tim, and I'll paraphrase it. But a boy is somebody who does what they want to do, and a man is somebody who does what needs to be done, even if that's not what they want to be doing, right? And that's a big difference. It's a big difference in character and characterization of somebody, right? A lot of us now in our society are so comfortable, we could say, forget about it. No big deal. I can, Uber Eats will deliver food to my house and I don't have to do anything. I can sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix or what have you. Whereas, and put off those things that I need to do for my family, or those things I need to do to better myself for my family and for myself. It's harder to pick up the book and turn the TV off. It's more difficult to get on the bike or lace up your shoes and go for a run, than it is to sit on the couch and watch UFC and watch some other people or other athletes, whether it be football or something else, performing at their best. In the States, we call it Monday quarterback, right? Monday night quarterback is that person who's saying, they should have done this, that, and the other, but they're not the person actually on the field. And in your own life, guys, you need to decide if you're going to committed to being the person on the field. And we talk about this at the Alpha Resets, but are you not only going to be the player on the field, but be the MVP of your life? And I think now, if you're listening to this, now is your time to make that commitment. Now is the time to commit to yourself, whether you're going to fall back into the stands and sit into the couch and make excuses, or if you're going to step up and reclaim. And every moment of every day, you have the opportunity of reclaiming that commitment and reclaiming that energy and reclaiming your life. And now is your opportunity to do the same thing.
I love
it. Tim, any final parting words for these guys?
Start small. Start small with reclaiming your commitment. Yeah, start small, flex the muscle. The more you use the muscle, the stronger it will become. And part of this, which is a completely separate topic, but I'll mention it, you'll start to manage your energy over your time, because managing your time, you can easily overcommit to things and take on too much and make it very difficult for you to be a man of your own word. When you start to manage your energy instead, you become acutely aware of what is an absolute yes or a F no. And you start to choose your life based on that filter. It's a very powerful stance to come from. And as a result, things can shift dramatically using that filter. So start small, work the muscle. And like Doug says, I think you said it perfectly. Every moment you can choose to reclaim it. Starting now.
All right, guys, you heard it from Tim himself. And guys, this is your opportunity. This is your call out. This is your chance. You're here listening to this. If you made it this far, you're ready. Step up and step to the line and choose to reclaim your own power. And if any of this resonates with you, go over to thealphareset.com right now, where you can get more trainings from Tim and the rest of the coaches, and also some more information, the opportunity to potentially, if you qualify, to talk to one of our master coaches as well. That's it for us today on The Powerful Man Show. We'll see you next time.